Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at Gamemax's Super Trooper. This is a ATX case which comes in at around about £35 here in the UK at the moment, and I feel it is an absolutely fantastic deal. Want to know more? Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at the Gamemax Trooper. ATX case with a solid front panel, which immediately is going to put some of you off, but don't despair, the airflow on this is actually pretty decent. And if you want a comparison, we've already done a review of its smaller brother, which is the Gamemax Commando, which is the micro ATX version of this. So if you kind of like the style of this and you want something similar, then the micro ATX Commando is the way to go and is available in black and white. Sadly, this particular version, the Trooper, is only available in the black colour that you see here. But like I said, it is available at an absolutely stellar price at the moment here in the UK of somewhere in the region of about £35. Now originally this did retail for somewhere in the region of about £60, so it has come down quite a bit, and actually some places did sell it a little bit dearer than that. So effectively at the moment it's kind of half price, and at this price I think is an absolute steal. So anyway, we're going to go through today, do a teardown of the case, look at all the pros and the cons, and then you can work out whether or not this is going to be suitable for your next PC build. And personally, I think it probably will be. So starting off with the design, as you can see, it's a rather muted affair, especially with all the addressable RGB lighting turned off. And if you just want this to go into an office or something, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. No one would really turn around and say, well, that's a little bit too gamery for me. But obviously turn on the RGB lighting and things do change. So if you do want something to light up your room or to make your bedroom that little bit more funky, then again, it might be a very good choice. This will fit up to extended ATX motherboards. It doesn't specifically confirm that actually in the specs. It does say it's for ATX, micro ATX and ITX motherboards, but because the backplane is flat, extended ATX will fit in there quite easily, although if you do that, then some of the cooling options inside may be slightly different. Now talking of cooling options, there's an absolute plethora of options on here. So we've got the option for 3 120mm fans up front, 3 120mm fans on the top, a single 120 on the back, and 2 actually on the side, so that's a total of 9 fans which you can install in here should you wish to. It actually comes straight out of the factory with 3 included Gamemax Razer fans, 120mm addressable RGB, and also comes with Gamemax's own hub as well. So if you want to plug all your fans into a hub and then just connect a single connection for both fans and also your addressable RGB to your motherboard, then you certainly can do. In terms of build quality, this thing is like an absolute tank, and I guess along with the Commando and Trooper naming, it kind of does have that military feel. It is super solid, and the actual construction quality is very reminiscent of, if you've ever seen the Inwin 101C or any of those Inwin cases, the actual design, the build, and the whole feel of it does feel very similar. Even down to things like solid metal throughout, even this front panel. Solid metal front, so if you want to do some modifications to this or do some painting, you certainly can do. It is effectively a blank canvas in that regard. Moving around to the side panel, so we do have a full-size tempered glass side panel, and it's none of your cheapo 2mm or 3mm tempered glass. This is proper heavy-duty 4mm tempered glass, and it just slides off the back. There are some thumb screws that hold it in place, very easy to remove. There is actually some grips front and back, nothing at the top and bottom, which may be beneficial to some people to let a little bit more light or see in a little bit easier. But yeah, it is a very heavy panel, 4mm thick tempered glass. In order to see what is actually going on the inside, we're going to remove the back panel just so you can see some of the areas of interest for cooling, and straight away you're going to see there is this section here with the geometric shapes which have been punched out. So this is for airflow, either intake or exhaust, however you see fit. This is essentially going to be for if you're mounting a 240mm radiator or leaving the standard 2 120mm fans in place. As standard from the factory, they are positioned here and here. So again, for airflow purposes, you can turn them around either way. The fans actually have their addressable RGBs on both sides. So there is a solid ring on either side. So if you have them intake or exhaust, you still see all of the RGB goodness. Removing the side panel, just 2 thumb screws, not captive ones, but I don't think that's a massive problem. And the panel itself is pretty decent and has actually got a little bit of flex to it, but still feels very solid. You'll also notice on the inside of this panel, there is a removable magnetic dust filter with some little markings there, just so you can get it lined up properly. That comes off nice and easily for cleaning purposes, or if you want to leave it out to gain even more airflow. So now we can turn this around and have a very good look inside. So as you can see, nice open space in there, pretty cavernous. You you can see straight away we've got these cutout sections here, which normally you would see fans in. You're probably seeing that for some B-roll I shot a little bit earlier on today. So this can be configured however you want to, or you can just leave it blank. The choice is entirely up to you. Like I said, you can put 3 120mm fans at the top, 3 in the front, 2 here and 1 in the back, so 9 fans in total, which is absolutely insane. The fans themselves are the Gamemax Razer fans. These are available here in the UK from places such as CCL and even things like eBay. You can pick them up for as little as about £5.28 at the last time of looking, although some retailers do charge a little bit more, but realistically, somewhere between £5 and £10 you can pick up another Gamemax Razer fan and kit out the whole thing with the same design should you wish to. Other points of notice in here, so lots of punch outs and pass throughs. So in the top left hand corner we've got the EPS connector for passing through your EPS power. You've also got some sections here for passing through things like if you're having fans on the top, all the cabling etc. can go through there very easily. Things like CPU cooler fans or additional RGB bits and pieces, they can go through there very easily. As you can probably see at the moment, I've actually got the 2 fans which are normally mounted on this section. As you'll see again from some of the B-roll, I've got them mounted up front to pull airflow in. Again, the choice is entirely up to you, loads of flexibility. Due to the fact there is 9 fan mounting places, you can pretty much do whatever you want, although it is only the top section which will allow you to use 140mm fans. So if you wanted to take out 3 120mm fans and put in 2 140s, you certainly can do on that top section. And also there's plenty of room in there for a radiator. I measured from the front to the back, somewhere in the region of about 415mm of space. So most AIO RADs 360s are somewhere between sort of 395 and maybe 415mm. So most 360mm RADs will fit in that top section. When it comes to 280s, you do have to be a little bit more careful because there is going to be a slight overhang for the motherboard. So do look at your RGB RAMs and maybe the VRMs on your motherboard. But yeah, 360s, 240s, absolutely fine. 280s, you might need to look into a little bit closer. Other pass-throughs that we've got, so at the bottom there, so for passing through things like your USB 3 or HD audio or front I/O connections, those can all go through there very nicely. This top section, completely solid as you can see, and it is exceptionally sturdy. The whole thing about this case is it's been made very, very well. It really doesn't justify its low price tag at the moment, so if you do want something which is extremely sturdy, this is a really good option. There's virtually no flex to it whatsoever in kind of any direction. So yeah, if it's going to be going into maybe a younger child's room or something like that where they're tempted to maybe kick or damage it in some way, then yeah, it should stand up to those kind of rigours. Looking towards the back, you can see the in-place fan. So again, Gamemax Razer fan in there, Addressable Rgb, 3-pin connection on there, so voltage control through the hub or from your motherboard directly if you want to plug it into there. The actual RGB connection is your standard 5V 3-pin with a daisy chain as well, so you can daisy chain a couple of items should you wish to. Like I said, those fans somewhere between £5–7 if you want to add more of those. The PCI Express blanking plates at the back, all of them are individual and can be removed and replaced at will. There's no bars in between as well, so if you do want to add in some aftermarket things such as a vertical GPU mount, you certainly can do very easily. And due to the fact that it's going to be in this section here, a little bit further away from the glass, airflow for your graphics card is going to be absolutely fine. So going back to the front section, so like I said, this is solid metal, so if you want to, you can sand it down, paint it, do whatever you want with. Yeah. The world is your oyster in that respect. You can if you want to, because it is metal. You could easily get a hole saw, cut out some holes in the front, so if you want to add more airflow and do some sort of customization, you can do very easily. A lot of people think that this case is choked off. Like I said earlier in the video, compared with the Commando, which is effectively the same design, these slits in the side actually do bode well for air cooling. And even with this being quite close to the fans, it does pull in a lot of airflow. And we did notice in our previous testing that the airflow top temps, roughly about 1 to 2 degrees difference between having the front panel actually on or taking it off entirely. So yeah, no worries there whatsoever. Taking the front panel off is a relatively straightforward thing to do. There are 6 tabs, plastic tabs, 2 top, middle and bottom. So all you do is push those in and the whole thing can come out. So that pulls off, as you can see, there's the panel. You've got those slits in the side which let through actually surprisingly a ton of air. I didn't think they would. That was one of the things that put me off of this case when it first came out at the original retail price of in the region of about £60 to £70 here in the UK. I was thinking, not really an airflow optimized case for that sort of money. I don't know if I can justify it. But now after testing out its smaller brother, knowing that it does actually flow air, and the fact now it's been reduced to in the region of about 35 quid, yeah, this is an absolute steal. So now we can take a closer look at this front section. So like I said, 3 120mm fans can fit in here. If you want to, you can take the one out the back, put it into the front to give you the same fans all the way through. No options here for really 140mm fans. Potentially you probably could do if you want to, if you are modifying it slightly. Something else which might be slightly problematic is 360mm radiators. Technically it can be done. There is a very small cutout at the back here, although this hard drive tray, which is at the bottom, is fixed and is riveted in place. So you may need to do a little bit of DIY work should you want to put a 360mm rad in there. If you put the rad behind the bars and put the fans in front, you probably get away with that, although then they're going to be smashed right up against this metal panel, which is not going to be great for airflow. So in terms of radiators at the front, I would probably advise against a 360, but a 240 would be absolutely fine. When it comes to the top section, so yeah, great design here. We've got a magnetic dust filter, which you can just peel off. That's absolutely fine. And you've got this hexagonal mesh, which I actually like, does do well for airflow. It's very open indeed. Like I said, 3 120mm fans up here, no problems. 2 140s, radiators 360, 240 fine. 240 you might want to take a little bit of care with because of how much overhang from the motherboard, like I said. The I/O is actually pretty decent as well. So you've got the power button, hard drive LED, power LED. You've also then got 2 jacks for your microphone and headset. Although weirdly, for some particular reason, and I don't quite know why, they're not marked up. So it's going to be a little bit hit or miss. I'm guessing the rear one is going to be the headphone looking at the wiring, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out when we do the full build in it, which if you want to see how that goes, click on the subscribe button and the chime icon and you'll be notified of future video releases, including a full decked out build in this case. Next up, we've got some USB ports. So we've got 2 USB 3.0s, which is always a good thing to see. No legacy USB 2.0 ports, which for some people may be a little bit of an issue. Some older devices, such as gamepads and possibly some headsets, might not always like being on USB 3.0, but I think really for most people having USB 3.0 on the front is probably going to be a better option. At the back there, we've got a reset button, which in this particular instance has been repurposed. This connects directly to the addressable RGB hub and can be used for cycling through lighting styles. So if you've got an older motherboard which doesn't support addressable RGB in any way, then you can just use the built-in controller to the hub. Obviously, if you don't want to use that, you can just purpose that and put it back into your motherboard should you wish to. Flipping around to the back, so you can see there's the I/O section there. You've got the fan mounting area. There is a little bit of adjustment for the fan up and down, not a great deal, about 1 centimetre, so not a huge amount. Would have been nice to have been able to put a 140 in there, but I guess it is what it is. Again, we've got this hexagonal mesh, which works very well for airflow. Underneath that, we've got our removable PCI Express blanking plates, and at the bottom, a mounting area for traditional ATX power supply, which can fit up to power supplies up to 200mm in length. Moving around to the back, so this is actually a bit of a mess at the moment. I haven't tidied it up. This is kind of as it is. So pointing out the various things, so EPS connector at the top here, also pass through for RGB cables for your rear mounted fan. We've got a cutout here for passing through more cables, for maybe if you're putting a radiator in, that sort of thing. So a bit of a pass through there. Obviously pass throughs for your 24-pin power connector and GPU connections, etc. down there. This section here is for your fans, so you can mount the fans actually on the front or the back, depending what you want to do. Maybe you want to add them on the back. There is enough room to do that, and there is about 30mm gap for cable management rooms, which is excellent. Loads of little punch outs for cable management, all that kind of stuff. Moving down to the bottom, so we've got hard drive tray there, or hard drive caddies, and there's 2 plastic caddies which are removable, so just push those in, pull them out, and you've got a traditional kind of plastic tray. No tools or anything required unless you're mounting 2.5-inch drives. 3.5-inch drives, there's some little prongs on there which you just fold this out a little bit, push the drive in, slot it back in, job done. When it comes to 2.5-inch drives, SSDs, then you will need to put some screws through the holes there, but again, no big problem. You can put 2 3.5-inch drives in here, or 2 2.5-inch drives. There's also, moving across, we've got a section here for adding another 2 2.5-inch drives. So they're on thumb screws, remove that, 1 drive at the top, 1 drive at the bottom if you wanted to. Then we've got the Addressable Rgb Controller. So this will support up to 6 fans and 6 addressable RGB devices. Obviously, if you're putting 9 fans in, you might want to look at a different sort of hub. But I think for most people, 6 fans will probably be more than enough. With the Addressable RGB, all of the connections have got daisy chains on. So if you've got a few more Addressable RGB items, then you can plug those in, no problem at all. The reset switch, as you can see, the wire coming down here has gone straight into the bottom of the hub. And also at the bottom of the hub, we've got our connectivity. So it's a SATA power to connect the hub for the RGB. We've also then got a standard 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB header, and also a 4-pin PWM style connection, although it's only got 2 connections because obviously it gets power from the hub itself from SATA, so no issues there. Power supply wise, get a nice decent sized power supply in there very easily. No issues there, and again, hexagonal mesh for ventilation. In terms of I/O cabling, so there's 3 main cables. So you've got the first one, which is going to be your main motherboard I/O. So that is going to be your power switch, power LED, and also your hard drive LED, I believe it is. Yep, hard drive LED, so 3 connections there. Next up, you've got HD audio connection, so for plugging in for the connection, which is normally down here somewhere. And also you've got a single USB 3.0 connection with 2 cables coming off to power both of those ports. Also tucked away here at the bottom, there are 2 additional cables. Now these are actually addressable RGB cables which plug into the hub. And these are actually for the side lighting. So you've possibly seen it on some of the B-roll, but you may have not kind of picked it out. There is a very, very discreet translucent strip along this bottom side and also on the front side, or the more obvious side. So this is going to transfer your lighting from the hub through there so you can have it all matching up. Whether or not you want to connect it, if you don't want to, literally just unplug it and forget about it. But if you do want to have it connected up, then you certainly can do very easily. And that's all been pre-wired in there nice and easily for you when it comes to doing your build. Looking at the bottom, these are some of the downsides, if I'm completely honest with you. So the plastic feet don't have any foam or rubber on them, so that's probably one of the first things I would suggest doing, is get some just sticky back plastic or foam pads or something, stick those on there just to stop it skating around on your desktop. If you've got a kind of IKEA type desk, it's going to skate around like crazy, so I would definitely put something on there. The rest of this is all solid, and you can see there's rivets there for where the drive tray goes in. So if you want to remove the hard drive caddy and tray, all that stuff, to make a little bit more room down there, you'd have to drill those out. So it's not removable in any way, shape or form, other than being kind of basically destroying it. At the back here, we've got a mesh filter for the power supply. Nothing extraordinary, just a piece of simple mesh, nice and easy to clean. And then you've got more hexagonal mesh there to let your power supply breathe a little bit. Okay, so now I've put a power supply in here just to get things up and running. So just a generic old power supply just to power the SATA hub. And you can see the fans there. I really like the fans in this. I think they're very, very subtle. And obviously you can change the lighting to suit your particular preferences. Something which I really like is the fact that the Razer fans actually have addressable RGB rings on both sides. So it doesn't matter if you're having them as intake here, or maybe you've got them exhaust on the side, or whatever you choose to do with them, you're going to be able to see some light in, and even from side angles, if so you've got them mounted at the top, you'll still see a little bit of bleed through from the sides, which is awesome. Something else which I actually really like, which I didn't think I would, is this addressable RGB strip along the bottom here, which we've also got on the other side. So if I spin this round, you can see it also matches up on this side as well, so you've got the same lighting on there. Again, if you don't like it, you can disconnect it, turn it off. It's entirely up to you. Now I've taken the front panel off just so you can see the lighting. So this is what they look like from the front, as you can see, and also obviously you've seen from the back as well. Again, I really like these fans. They've got a rotational speed of somewhere up to around about 1500 RPMs. They are controllable voltage DC or via the included hub, so you can set them however you want to. But actually just in their default speed setting, which is what they are now because they're running literally without a motherboard or anything, just their default speed, they're actually really quiet. And the loudest thing is actually the power supply fan, which is noisier than all of the other 3 put together. I'll go through now and show you some of the lighting styles. So this is obviously the RGB puke, as we're used to seeing. And we're going to press the button on the top, which is the repurposed reset switch. So what I do is press it in, and you can go through the various colours and cycles which are available. All of which I think they all look very nice. So you've got the usual stuff, you've got multi-colours, fades, etc, etc. You can go through and choose whichever one you particularly like. There are static colours in there as well, so if you do want to go for a static colour, so you've got things like your blues. That was the one that actually cycles through like the original Aurora sync. So this is fading in and out. You get the general idea, so you've got ones that just go around in a circle. Again, obviously, if you want to, plug it into your motherboard and you can control it through your motherboard software or from something like Signal RGB, whatever you want to do. Yeah, some pretty decent colours on there. The colours are actually quite vivid. They're probably not picking up on camera quite as well as it is actually in real life, but yeah, the colours work very well, and the way it synchronises with these little strips on the bottom, I actually really like it. So then we've got our statics, so you've got the white, you've got the red, the green, the blue, then you've got the yellow, into the pale blue, pink, and then back into our unicorn puke. Now if you want to, just press and hold the button for a couple of seconds and it'll flash. That transfers the actual input signal to your motherboard. So if you have a motherboard connected to the system at this particular time, then it'll do whatever your motherboard's telling it to do. Or of course, obviously, if you just don't want RGB on, you can either not connect it or just press that button in to turn all your RGB lighting off and have a more stealthy look. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this one up. I've got to be honest with you, for £35, if you fail to see the value in this particular case with what it is for £35, then I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a fantastic value for money. The build quality is excellent. There's no issues whatsoever. There's no sharp edges, no kind of weird stuff going on. It is basically, it feels like an in-win case. If you've ever owned an in-win 101C or that type of case, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's all very solid, very well constructed. There's no rough edges or anything. It's all been finished well. The paint job is immaculate. It's very even all the way over, regardless of what surface is being painted. So yeah, it is a great little case. And the fact that it does actually flow some air through that front panel, even though it looks like it's choked off, trust me when I say it isn't. And like I said, we will be doing a bigger build in this, put some heavy duty components in there and do some thermal testing just to validate what I've already said. But I'm sure it's only going to be, realistically, with that front panel on, maybe 2 degrees difference under full load. Clearly, it's not going to flow as well when idling, that sort of stuff, as a meshed front would, because just the way that mesh works. But yeah, it isn't as restrictive as you think it might be. And of course, you can modify it to suit however you want to anyway. And for 35 quid, I think it's probably worth a punt. But my opinion isn't what matters, what yours is. So let us know in that comment section what you think about this case. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. And hopefully, we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.